If you're in computer science, you know data is everything. But finding a pattern in that data, that's only half the battle. Today, we're digging into the part that often gets overlooked but is absolutely critical: integrating those data sources. Welcome from Nexus. In this chapter, we're going to unlock the real value of big data. I mean, let's be honest, finding an amazing insight is great, but if it just sits in a database somewhere, what good is it? The real power, the real magic, happens when you plug those insights back into the systems that actually run the business. That's what we're going to break down today. So here's our game plan. First, we'll hit the big why. Why integration is the absolute key. Then we'll walk through a 3-stage journey that takes you from messy, raw data to real-world action. We'll peek inside the tech toolkit you'll be using, and we'll wrap up by talking about how to make sure your data is not just interesting, but actually trustworthy and actionable. Okay, let's start with a really simple idea. Think of a big data insight as a treasure map. It's super exciting, it points to something valuable, but if you don't have the key to open the treasure chest, it's really just a cool piece of paper. Integration, that's the key. So picture this. You've done it. You've waded through petabytes of data and found a truly game-changing pattern. This is the moment, right? But then comes that big looming question. Now what? How do you get that brilliant discovery off your screen and make it actually do something? This quote from Big Data for Dummies just nails it. Your big data analysis lives in one universe, and the day-to-day business operations live in another. Without a bridge connecting them, your insights are basically stuck on an island. Integration is that bridge. So how do we build this bridge? Well, it's not a single leap, it's more like a journey, a logical 3-stage process that takes us from finding that map all the way to unlocking the treasure. Let's walk through it. And here's the path. We start with the exploratory stage. This is where we're just digging around for gold in all that raw data. Then we move to the codifying stage, where we take what we found and build a repeatable process around it. And finally, we get to the integration stage, where we plug it into the business and start seeing real value. It's a clear path from data to, well, action. All right, stage 1, exploration. Seriously, think of yourself as a gold prospector. You're sifting through mountains of raw, messy, unstructured data, using platforms like Hadoop, just looking for a glimmer of something interesting. And here's the key. At this point, you're not worried about perfect, clean data. You're just casting a wide net, looking for any kind of pattern or correlation. Okay, so you found some gold. Now you hit stage 2, codifying. The wild exploration is over. Now you're zeroing in on that valuable data you found. The goal here is to build a solid, repeatable process to extract and transform it using tools like HiveQL and PigLatin. This is where you turn a one-off discovery into a reliable system. And now for the final and honestly the most important stage, integration. This is the whole point. This is where you take your polished, refined insight and plug it directly into the systems that run the business. Your data stops being a report and starts changing prices, managing inventory, or sending personalized offers. This is where the value gets unlocked. Okay, that's the theory, but what does this actually look like in practice? Let's take a look at a real-world example of how integration can turn a simple data pattern into a seriously powerful business move. But first, a quick definition, just so we're all on the same page. When we say operational systems, what are we talking about? We mean the systems that run the business day to day, in real time. We're talking about your customer relationship management system, your ERP, your e-commerce site. These are the systems we need to connect our insights to. Okay, check this out. A retailer is digging through their web traffic, that's their big data, and they find a weird pattern. A specific group of customers keeps abandoning their online shopping carts on Tuesday afternoons. Now, on its own, that's kind of interesting, but it's not very useful, right? But here's where the integration magic happens. By connecting that insight to their CRM, their operational system, they can automatically send a personalized coupon to those exact customers right around that time. They've turned a vague data pattern into a direct, timely, revenue-generating action. That's the power we're talking about. So how do you actually do this? As computer science students, I know you want to see the tech stack. So let's pop open the toolkit and look at the tools that make all this happen. First, let's talk about a huge shift in thinking around something called ETL. The old way was extract, transform, and then load your data. But with big data, that process is just way too slow. The new way, with Hadoop, completely flips the script. You load everything first, structured, unstructured, whatever, and then you transform it. It's a simple change in order, but it makes a massive difference in speed. And here are some of the key players in your toolbox. You've got FlumeNG, which is basically a high-speed data hose for getting streaming data into Hadoop. You have HiveQL, which is awesome because it lets you use SQL-like commands on your huge data sets. And then there's PigLatin, which helps you build complex data transformation workflows without getting lost in the weeds of MapReduce. These are the workhorses. Okay, we've got our insights, we've got our tools, but there is one last absolutely crucial piece of the puzzle: trust. Before you can bet your business on a decision, you have to know that the data behind it is clean and reliable. Remember how back in the exploratory stage we said that data quality wasn't the main priority? Well, now it is. It's everything. Before you start firing off coupons or changing prices, you have to be 100% sure your data is accurate. That's what data quality and profiling are all about. It's the step that turns a promising idea into a trusted, dependable business strategy. So let's boil it all down. Without integration, big data is just a massive technical asset. It's a huge pile of information that's interesting to look at. But with successful integration, it transforms into a powerful business driver. It becomes the engine that pushes the company forward, creating real, measurable value. So that brings us to the big question: what's next? We've talked about integrating data that's already sitting there. But what about integrating data that's streaming in right this second? Well, the next chapter gives us a pretty big clue. It's all about real-time data streams and complex event processing. It is the next frontier, and it's where things get really exciting. Thanks for tuning in.